Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I gotta stop grabbing a handful of peanut M&Ms before I record these things. I wind up clearing my throat a million times. Let's take a look at late night. Jimmy Fallon said ahead of Thanksgiving, the TSA has announced they're predicting the busiest holiday travel season ever. And yeah, in a classy move, Southwest cut right to the chase and canceled all their flights. Love it. Kimmel, more than 30 million Americans are expected to travel by plane over the holiday, and every one of them is in your boarding group. Fallon, apparently the airport's going to be so busy that LaGuardia might even buy a second gray bin. Hilarious. New topic from Leslie Jones hosting The Daily Show and getting no help whatsoever from the writers. This is bad. Santos got caught spending campaign money on Botox and OnlyFans, and this is on top of him stealing credit cards, wire fraud, and identity theft. When he goes to jail, they'll ask him, what are you in for? And he's going to be like, everything. That's a hack joke. It's not good. Seth Meyers, new topic. President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to reestablish military communications. It's what Biden is calling the greatest U.S. collaboration since rush hour. Love it. David Letterman will be the guest on Stephen Colbert on Monday night. This announced by Stephen Colbert on Twitter. I've already cleared my throat 5 times. We're what, a minute in? A very, very robust Saturday edition of this. No filler at all today. There was a lot of news and a lot came out on Friday afternoon, including an amazing lineup for San Francisco Sketch Fest. I can't believe they announced that on a Friday. I will save that for Monday's podcast. I also found it curious that they waited till a Friday to announce Trevor Noah as a new Netflix special, and it'll be out next month, December 19th. Where Was I? Will be Trevor Noah's 4th comedy special for Netflix. Official description, Trevor Noah shares his hilarious experiences from his recent travels around the world, ranging from foreign national anthems to varying cultural norms. The special was filmed at the Fox Theater in Detroit. I told you the other day, Bert Kreischer went and grabbed the woman who was protesting the Iditarod race at a Las Vegas F1 race event. Craziness. Bert explained what was going on. He spoke to Deadline. And he said, when we got done, someone at Netflix came to me and they're like, hey, you're going viral. And I was like, for what? And they're like, the protester. Kreischer said, I literally, honestly didn't even think about it. I really don't have a recollection of it other than being in production mode and being like, hey, you can't get the shot. It was such an interesting thing because they had all these celebrities in the pit lane, which is what they called it, and I was supposed to do interviews with everyone. When those people came running out, this is going to sound really crazy. I kept thinking to myself when I was sitting there, man, this is where the Las Vegas shooting was. This is crazy. If you're going to do a shooting, you could kill a ton of celebrities right now. While hoping to protect those participating, Kreischer hoped to minimize contact with the protester. He said, I thought it was just like I was moving one of my daughters. I was just like, here we go. I wasn't going to touch her body, so I was trying to grab her arms and move her away, and man, that snapshot looks totally different. It looks like I leveled her. All I remember saying was like, were they protesting the Iditarod? Then I was like, wow, that's crazy. Did I really just put my foot in the political ring regarding the Iditarod? Like, I have no feelings about the Iditarod ever. All of a sudden, I'm like, F that. The Iditarod is a mainstay of North America. Not on my watch, baby. The National Comedy Center in Jamestown, New York, announced it will be preserving the archival collection from Don Rickles' estate. Awesome. That's really cool. The collection spans from the 50s to the 2000s. It includes rare photographs, correspondence, creative papers, and wardrobe. The centerpiece of the collection is more than 40 photo and memorabilia albums assembled by Don and his wife Barbara. The handcrafted books chronicle Don Rickles' rise to fame as a young comic, honing his craft and culminate in his later years as the comedy community's beloved elder statesman. Some more items, a stage-worn tuxedo and a neon caricature of the comedian that appeared during his onstage decor during his live performances. There's an interactive feature that insults museum goers with never-before-heard audio recorded by Don shortly before his passing. National Comedy Center Executive Director Journey Gunderson said, Mr. Warmth, the Merchant of Venom, the Emperor of Insults, by any name and by any measure, Don Rickles was an extraordinary artist who brought laughter to millions over 6 decades. Rickles' comedy was relentlessly funny. He was a true original, beloved by his audiences and by the comedy community. Gunderson added, to be insulted by Don Rickles was a badge of honor. Bob Newhart threw in some quotage. Don was my best friend. He was called the Merchant of Venom, but the truth was he was just the kindest man. I know that he would have been quite honored and very proud to have his career collection preserved and displayed at the National Comedy Center. Jimmy Kimmel, in on this, said, not only was Don the funniest man alive, he is the funniest man not alive. Jeff Ross quotage. He was America's doctor. He helped us laugh at ourselves. He brought people together. He brought couples together. He brought races together. That's incredibly healing. Above all, it was spiritual, not just for the comics, but for his fans. Meeting Don Rickles was like meeting the Pope of humor. He's the Grandmaster, the bald head on Mount Roastmore, the black belt in busting chops, the Sultan of Insultin. And the release says, full quote at comedycenter.org/Rickles. How much more did he say? I'm clicking on it. I clicked. The page you were looking for is not found. In fact, comedycenter.org/Rickles doesn't exist. What's going on? Conspiracy. I got this release from the Comedy Center. Did something happen? They sent it to me. I didn't make this up. Huh. I'm intrigued. All right. I have now searched on the Comedy Center website for Don Rickles, and here's the press release. Here's the Jeff Ross thing with the same quote. I don't know. Sarah Silverman stated, Don Rickles' act could have never worked if there wasn't love behind it. It may have been a sarcastic nickname, but he truly was Mr. Warmth. And of course, a quote from John Stamos, famous Beach Boys drummer. Don Rickles was one of my most important unconventional friends for life. He's the ultimate equal opportunity insulter. He goes places where very few entertainers dare. Being a student of comedy, especially stand-up, I've spent many hours trying to crack the code of his particular kind of subversive genius. So, I've mentioned the Mac Pack. That's my made-up group of celebrity friends that I roll with. It's me, Michael Chiklis, Tom Cavanaugh, Andy Samberg, Henry Winkler, Keegan-Michael Key, Jeff Goldblum. That's who I roll with in my fantasies. In real life, is the John Stamos equivalent of the Mac Pack, Mike Love from the Beach Boys, and Don Rickles? What's going on? There's a lot more here, which is good because today's Saturday and there's a holiday week coming up, which means it's going to be 2 weeks of me scrambling for news. So I could talk more about Don Rickles now because we are having fun, are we not? And I can siphon off some news stories for next weekend. Awesome. Don Rickles honed his comedic style in Miami before a 1957 break at L.A. Slate Brothers Club vaulted him to national acclaim. By 1959, he was booking the record-setting Las Vegas residencies that mainstreamed the art of the roast and made Rickles a fixture of American comedy. His victims included Rat Pack pals Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra to fellow comedians Joan Rivers and Milton Berle. Don Rickles connected with a new generation of fans as the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story franchise. Did you know that? Maybe you did. Yesterday, I kind of said Matt Rife's special wasn't funny. I didn't kind of say it. I said it. Own it, Johnny Mac. Matt Rife's special's not funny. Vulture caught my eye with this headline. Matt Rife natural selection is juvenile and unremarkable. All right, it's not just me. They wrote, now 28 years old and recording his first special for a mainstream platform, Rife seems to have arrived here on a speed run through comedic disquietude toward his own fans. As a result, natural selection is half inspiring penis jokes, half screed against the injustice of online haters, and entirely underwhelming. Wow. The penis jokes are the easiest to assess, in much the same way that they're easiest jokes to make. Rife has a few different versions. Some are more focused on size, some on what you might do with one when you're by yourself, trying to keep this halfway clean. I'm going to struggle here. And some on the challenge of making women very happy. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, which are really just penis jokes where the nerve bundle is a slightly different shape. The longest of them are a section where he imagines being given a favor by monsters who lurk under his bed. Then another story about finding a stepfather's collection of porn VHS tapes in a closet. Vulture writes, the ideas Rife plays with most clearly are being young and figuring out how to deal with sexuality, and at each joke there's a looming menacing figure. It's a monster or a stepfather whose threat is neutralized by finishing. If Rife has spent time pondering what that might suggest about the role of sex and his internal conceptions of safety and power, that self-reflection doesn't show up in the writing. The New York Times wrote about the Arab American Comedy Festival taking place tomorrow. It's the festival's 20th anniversary. Because of the war, they considered postponing the festival until next year. Instead, they delayed performances at Gotham in February, but kept tomorrow's town hall event. Dean Obadallah said, let me be honest, I need to laugh. We all need to laugh. We need some comedy in our lives. The Times writes, before 9/11, Obadallah, who's half Palestinian and half Sicilian, wasn't particularly political or focused on his identity. But Dean says, on September 10th, I went to sleep a white guy. On September 11th, I woke up an Arab. America changed around me. The New York Post went to go see Brett Goldstein. You know him as Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. What happens in his set? Well, Brett jokes about the America versus Great Britain comparisons. We're told he has a hilarious breakdown of how our public bathrooms are different. And we're warned to have some questions ready. There's a question box that he pulls from at the end of the show. And the weirder the question, the more likely it is he'll answer it or at least read it out loud. Spamalot is back. I have a review that I saw that was pretty strong for it. I'll save that for Thanksgiving weekend. We'll talk about that review later. But a bit of news. The Pythons are not getting along. Eric Idle says, John's gone a bit strange. And he doesn't mean me. He means John Cleese. Eric Idle says, in the new revival of Spamalot, last time we were on Broadway, John Cleese played God. Now he's getting on a bit. He's getting up there, and John's gone a bit strange. The new voice of God on Broadway is Steve Martin. And condolences to the family of Dana Carvey. Dana's son, Dix, died of a drug overdose at his home on Wednesday evening. On Instagram, Dana Carvey wrote, "We suffered a terrible tragedy. Our beloved son, Dex, died of an accidental drug overdose. Dex packed a lot in all those 32 years. He was extremely talented at so many things, music, art, filmmaking, comedy, and pursued them all passionately. We'll miss him forever." And that's your comedy news for today.